25 years of people-centered and impactful journalism. Hello, and thank you for joining us from wherever you are. We are coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle on digital address GA0992539. Our top stories this hour. COVID-19 in 7 regions across Ghana so far as staff of St. Augustine School resist plans to make the school an isolation center in the central region, the latest to record the case. We have details as we go live also to Tema, where a police officer has been shot by a military personnel and 2 COVID-19 patients detected at Old Fadama are on the run. Details of that and more coming up. Also, several markets risk closure following failure to observe social distancing as crowding continues in those markets. And in our global updates today, we go to South Africa, the United Kingdom, and we touch base with the World Health Organization, which has been accused of acting too slow with the outset of COVID-19. Those are top stories this hour. Join us on DSTV 421, GoTV 144, and of course on YouTube because we are streaming live there. You can join us with your thoughts, your opinions, your questions on 0540-109009. As much as possible, we'll give you answers if we have them. My name is Gifty Ando Apia. This is The Pulse. Please join me and be my guest. About this time yesterday, we hadn't reached 300. At this moment, we are at 313. That's the latest as of just about a few minutes before we start, after we started the show yesterday. So that 313 has obviously a breakdown, which I'm going to take you through shortly, the regional breakdown, and then those that had to do with those who were put on mandatory quarantine. So let's take a look at the regional breakdown. Greater Accra is still topping the chart, 274. Essentially what it means is that many more of those who have been detected to be positive are in the Greater Accra region. You know also what's happening in the other regions. Now for the rest of these 4 regions that you see, Eastern, Upper East, Upper West, Central, they have 1 cases. Each central region is the latest to join. The northern region still has 10 as the number of patients or COVID-19 patients, one of them we still know is on the run. So the routine surveillance confirmed cases 161, recovered 3, discharged 18. Those who are responding to treatment 132, and those in critical condition remain 2. Yesterday, there was a latest casualty, which is making the number of people who have died 6. Now, if that falls under the routine surveillance, it means that it's a normal checks that are being made, normal people reporting to the hospital and being checked and then being detected to be positive. That's what it means to say routine surveillance. For those who were under mandatory quarantine here in Accra, 105 of them were confirmed to be positive for COVID-19. None of them have recovered so far. Discharged persons 31. Indeed, they are in the hospital at home working out the treatment. 74 of these people are responding to treatment. None of them is in a critical condition and nobody has died as well. But this is for Accra, only Accra. And we move on to Tamale in the northern region, where the 10 confirmed cases we know about the Guineans, none of them have recovered. We're told at this point no updates on the usual figures that we know, 10 responding, 0 critical, 0 deaths. But we know that out of the 10 responding, there is still 1 of them who is on the run, and officials are still searching for that person. Now let's take you through the stories today. Now 2 persons are on the run after testing positive for the novel coronavirus at Old Fadama, a suburb of Accra. These individuals who were confirmed to have been infected by the virus have yet to be reached by contact tracers 3 days after confirmation of their status. Contact tracers have encountered difficulties convincing, and you can see that picture right there. They've had difficulties convincing the patients to comply with isolation protocols and have since fled the neighborhood. Those detected to be positive have fled since their test result came in on Monday, April 6th. 2020. Head of our health desk here at JoyNews, Fred Smith, is in the studio to tell us more about it. Fred, so I'll have you speak to the videos we're seeing right now on TV. What is happening?
Well, indeed, they went to the community. In fact, the whole of last week, the contact tracers were on the ground since the president announced that we are enhancing our contact tracing and testing. And so Old Fadama is one of the many places they are conducting the contact tracing and testing. They took samples from some people there, and it turned out 2 of them were positive, and that result came from Noguchi on Monday. So the contact tracers returned to this place to try and get these persons to, take them to isolation. Okay. Unfortunately, these persons resisted, and they had to go and bring in security to get them to comply. Okay. Now they've been going. We are on the 3rd day. And they found it very difficult getting them to come to isolate them from the population there. This is Old Fadama. No. It's a slum area where houses are built very close together. People share rooms, many people in one room, and there's no space if you want to. So the nature of the disease is such that it spreads amongst people who are close together. And that's why the president announced the social distancing protocols. But unfortunately, these 2 individuals, one of who we know is Kayayo, or head porter, that person is also resisting the, refusing to go into custody. I'll bring you a sound of that interaction between the officials and the community leaders shortly. Okay. But this person, we're told, lives in a single room with 15 other people who also have 3 children in addition, all of them in that single room. It is this lady who tested positive and has been sleeping there with these people who has now left that community. She can't be traced.
And Fred, I'm a bit curious. When they did the testing, did they have to do the testing and go away and bring the result?
The way the testing is done, your samples will be picked today, and then they take them to Noguchi or whichever testing center. Then they receive the test results after some time, maybe a day or 2. Once the test results come and you are positive, you will be notified that this is the result of your test, and then the necessary actions will be taken. If you turn out positive, then you have to be taken into government isolation, or if you can isolate at home. Your house is such that you can. Then you can do that.
But did this person show symptoms, for which reasons they had to do the testing?
No, not at all. What is happening with enhanced testing is you pick populations at random and test them for COVID, because you never know where they've been to or what they've been doing since the outbreak of COVID. And so that's how come they pick samples from these people. When we got into the community, it was such a difficult time trying to convince them. The contact tracers, there were doctors amongst them, immigration officers, and the police, all of them trying to get the community to understand that there's a need for them to yield to the testing, because this lady would have come into contact with them, with this person who is found to be positive. But the community members are unwilling to test, and shortly I'm sure we'll be hearing from them in that interaction I captured when I went to the community.
Sina,
the lady will be here by 8:30. That's what I'm telling them. If they fail to get that, even the next room, some kind of people here, but because of that, they all go outside. Friends, greeting friends, and finding something to talk. So by 8:30, they should be here. that lady, we are encouraging them to take the lady to go and test a serious test because he is the one approved that this is what happened for you.
Does he have a telephone that we can call?
They have their number, but if they call him up, that is going for 1 year. It's no more can
Our interest today is not only the contracts around.
Yeah. So, but what are they? They are refusing to do the testing. No one wants to test. Wow. So this lady and the gentleman
Have tested positive.
they tested positive. Okay, but we are struggling to get back. Since when?
We have been for 3 days now. We've been here 3 consecutive days.
So you don't meet them anytime you come?
Yes, but they don't pick our call. We can't. They don't want to cooperate.
Before they come, they are calling the parents. I hint you don't want.
Then it means that this one, you the elders must step in because
They didn't tell anybody. Only them like the girl. After the leave, I will hear it. After the leave, I will hear it.
Anytime she's around, we can even call you. Come and pick her.
You have that.
That's the right.
But the issue is this. She's not showing any signs of COVID, but she has it. So if I'm standing here and like at the lady, she can give it to the chaplain. Whoever I find on this, the other person is also infected. The person will be giving it out to other people. That's the danger of this.
But the person who you get, you will never consult him, you never protect him. How can you get another one? That's why the people say it will not agree. Because the first one you come and test, and you accept suspended the follow, you have it. 3 days today, you didn't do anything. So if somebody come and you test him, you protect this one before that you get the rest. Protect this one before you get the rest.
That one there. For that one,
that one they never do. We are taking our opportunity. We're not going to continue. The older them are doing.
Boss, I think you have to tell your story so that they can give you some more support. Come. Yeah.
So that is an interaction with contact tracers where head of our health desk was there, Fred Smith himself was there. Let's find out, Fred, exactly what sort of conversation was going on here. We see you asking where these people are. They tell you that these people, they've been coming in and now they don't find them. And then we see also the interaction with people who seem to be opinion leaders there. Exactly what's going on here?
Well, the contact tracers had approached the community leaders who sat under this shed you see on the screen. They wanted them to help in tracing or tracking where this person who has tested positive has gone to, so they can take them and give her help.
Right.
Unfortunately, they are unwilling because they are saying the day they took the samples, the community leaders or the opinion leaders were not consulted before they took the test, and so they are not willing to help. Then they say, all right, this lady has tested positive. She lives in this community. She does a lot of things there. There's public toilet, there's public bath, like they sell things there. She goes to everywhere. And she sleeps in the same room with 15 other people who also interact with the rest of the community. Right. So we want to take samples from all of these persons who are contacts of this lady to test and see if everybody is fine. Okay. And the community leaders are resisting. In fact, it was difficult. That's the official. The man in white is the leader of the contact tracing team. Okay. He was having a real tough time convincing the community leaders, and that's how I got in to
try and have a conversation.
Exactly.
But this is a national crisis. This is a public health issue. When there are officials, security officials, to compel them to do what they ought to do?
There were policemen who accompanied them, but I'm sure you'd need much more than 4 police officers. The crowd there was heavy, and any attempt by the police, I'm sure it would have been more chaotic than you're seeing on the screen. But the people believe that the contact tracers are just drawing their blood and giving it to government so that government use it for rituals, and that's very unfortunate.
That's what they're saying.
That's what they're saying.
Right. A lot more education needs to go on there. Fred, what else should we know? How was this even resolved, by the way? Well,
the contact tracers and the security team had to pull out of the community. So they went back to the old Fadama police station to re-strategize. They had been told by the leaders that they can only help them on Sunday when the lady is at home. As we speak, we also saw a lot of the kayayes in the market. So it's unclear whether this lady is actually part of those who are mingling with those in the market. Well,
some people will say that we will need a lot more security, people from security agencies to try and compel these people.
Well, in the morning, I mean, this message has gone round that these two are on, they are
and do they even understand the implications of having people like that live in the community?
Well, they don't seem to understand.
Right.
They think that it is a state against them.
Interesting. Fred, is there any other thing that we should know from your trip today to Old Fadama?
Well, the other place I went to was the market, and also checked the compliance to our lockdown measures announced by the president, and it doesn't appear that many people are complying. There was heavy traffic in town, and that report I'm sure will be coming in.
Will come shortly. Fred, thank you so much. Fred Smith is head of our I almost said security desk. Fred Smith is head of our help desk, and he's been combing up and down throughout this country, trying to bring us all of those details, exclusive details, I should say. Today he was at the Old Fadama Bubulushi market, to be precise, and you've seen the details coming out from there. It looks like a lot more education needs to go down there. The people have extreme misconceptions about what is happening, and they are actually comfortable to keep two people who have tested positive to COVID-19, saying they'll only release this person on Sunday. Fred is still here with me. Looks like there's a bit more information you need to give us.
Well, there was a suggestion by someone who was supportive in the community. He had given off his samples, and the officials had taken it to Noguchi for testing. But his suggestion was that the free food that the government comes to give to these people must be tied to you taking giving your samples to the people before they go, because whilst we were there, all the people were asking for was food.
Very very difficult situation, I should say, and that puts authorities in a dilemma, but hopefully we'll find a way around this. For me, it's just about the education going down, that this could kill you. Leaving these two people in the neighborhood could kill somebody, could kill a lot more people, but obviously they don't understand. We'll get more of that story as we go along. Right now, though, Medical Director at the Tema General Hospital, Dr. Richard Anthony, says Lance Corporal Francisca Tenge is responding to treatment after she was shot at close range to her thigh this morning. Lance Corporal Tenge was shot by a military personnel at a checkpoint whilst enforcing the COVID-19 lockdown at Tema, Newtown. Although little information is given of the soldier, information available indicates that he is in military detention. Confirmation from Tema Regional Police Headquarters reveals the soldier fired at the victim without confrontation. We're also being told that this was an accident, but we have more details to get to streamline that information, or to straighten out, I should say, that information. Dr. Richard Anthony has been allaying fears about her condition. He says that the victim is responding to treatment.
The policeman could say that she is in a stable health condition. The wound was not that very big, was on the thigh close to the knee. There was an entry and an exit wound. There was not bleeding as such, and it's been managed by our surgical team. It's been sutured, and she's currently on the ward, very stable.
Okay, so what assurance can you give the public regarding her recovery as soon as possible?
I said people have different constitution, and people recover at different rates. But I could say that currently, as I'm speaking to you, she's very stable.
Let's get on the phone lines and get more from Kwame Yanka, who is a correspondent in Tema. Kwame, so do we have a sense of exactly what happened? We're hearing that this was an accident. We're hearing that Madame Francisca was shot without confrontation. Do we have a sense from eyewitnesses, at least, exactly what happened before the gun went off?
Well, what some residents seem to be telling us is that, well, this morning, whilst at the duty point, all that they heard was the gun had gone off. But as whether the soldier deliberately aimed at the police lady or woman, we may not be able to tell. Whilst at this point, investigation is ongoing, and you understand he's under military detention. The police also at this point preparing a release to give further details on this.
So what do we know? I mean, we've heard from the Tema General Hospital. They say she's responding to treatment. Has she spoken about what exactly happened? Do the authorities say?
Well, Kitty, this situation is being managed in such a way that the police and the military seem to be playing a very critical role in terms of security in Tema. So this is being managed in such a way that the cordial relationship between the two security agencies for the state would remain as such. Well, investigation will then reveal how the soldier will be managed, whether at what will be done exactly to him. For the medical team here, they are doing their best to ensure that the Lance Corporal Francisca Tenge recovers as soon as possible, and then if she's supposed to return to duty in the coming days, then that could be done.
And Kwame, did you, when you got to the scene where this incident happened, what did you see?
Okay, so naturally with all police checkpoints, or as far as this lockdown is concerned, there are both military and then police personnel stationed at the same point. Then a barricade is then put there to ensure that that's able to slow down oncoming vehicles for the personnel to then take them through the necessary questions, their identifications, whether they are part of the exempted groups, among other things. So this is just the normal situation at every checkpoint, such as that of Tema Newtown, where this happened this morning.
Kwame, thank you for that update. Kwame Yanka is our correspondent in Tema. They're bringing us up to date. We're told that the military officer, or the military personnel that shot this police officer is in military detention. Well, our sources also within the Defense Ministry tells us that this was, the reports they're getting from there is that this was an accident, but we have yet to confirm that. And the police administration, we also understand, are putting together some information to give us. We'll try and reach out to the Police Public Affairs Directorate and get some more information. We're going to take a break on that. When I return, we'll go to the markets. We'll tell you how several markets risk closure because the the people who sell in these markets are not observing social distancing. Crowding in our markets continue to be a big problem to the fight against COVID-19. And we'll also bring you an update on what's happening around the world. Do stay with us. I'll be right back. You're welcome back to the show. Many thanks for staying with us. We take you to the central region now, where staff of St. Augustine's College in Cape Coast say they are not happy with the choice of their school as an isolation center. According to them, they still live on campus and cannot share their facilities with persons who have been isolated and been tested for COVID-19. Health authorities have arrived at the school and begun preparing dormitories for the exercise. Richard Kojonyako is there for us. He joins me right now with more details. Hello, Richard.
Hi, Yuti.
Right, Richard, so give us an update on what has happened. I mean, you've been there since morning. Has anything changed as far as the teachers and their request not for the place to be used as an isolation center?
Also, right now, the dormitory that was chosen for the isolation exercise has been logged by the people that came to put the place in order. You know that yesterday the Central Region recorded its first COVID-19 case. Following that, they decided to choose an isolation center, and so St. Augustine's was chosen as one of the isolation centers. Earlier, the regional minister had hinted that one school in every district would be selected as an isolation center should a case be recorded. At that time, no case had been recorded in the Central Region. So this morning, the teachers said they were there when their head informed them about the decision by authorities to use the place as an isolation center. And that decision did not go down well with them because they say that about 60% of the teaching population still live on campus, their children, their family, and other associates. And so bringing the people that are coming, that are to be isolated to the campus would be very, very wrong. And they fear the repercussions because they don't know what would happen. And besides, they are also on campus, not that they want to be on campus, they are still marking. And apart from marking, they're also conducting online classes for their students. And so it is like a permanent abode for them. So they should have even had a meeting with the staff to inform them of the decision so that they could arrive at an amicable decision or conclusion as to the usage of the place. But they said that they were only informed that that was what was going to happen, and they said that that is not acceptable and they cannot agree with them. It is not only St. Augustine's that is having challenges with the selection of a place as an isolation center. The Futu Senior High School was also selected as an isolation center, and currently the residents there are rioting. They are preventing the authorities from going to put the place in order to start the isolation process. And they have blocked the road. The police, they have dispatched a team there, but they say that the situation is very dire. And so the police are in a meeting with the chiefs and opinion leaders in that particular community to ensure that they all speak one language, and then amicable resolution would be reached. So that is what is happening at the moment.
Richard, I don't know if you have engaged some of these residents or the teachers who are the staff, for example, of St. Augustine's College, who are not very happy with the use of their facility. But are they providing any alternatives, seeing that this is a disease that can affect anybody at all?
Well, I've been speaking with them this morning. After the communication was given, they held a welfare meeting, and they came to the conclusion that they are not going to allow, they are going to petition the Metro Chief Executive and the Regional Minister, as well as the other stakeholders who came together to take that decision that St. Augustine should be chosen. Rather, they are recommending that there are some day schools in Cape Coast where there are no teachers or there are no staff that are currently there. They could have chosen those schools, put the places in order for them to use them as isolation centers, or better, they could use some of the guest houses and the hotels that are available, because now people are not even patronizing the hotels and the guest houses, so they could have even used those places. They are also, thirdly, they are also recommending that the Cape Coast Sports Stadium is there, and then the old Cape Coast Sports Stadium is there. They could just put up tents, put a better place for them, for the people to be there. They fear that the people that are going to be put in the isolation in one of the dormitories, the children went home. A lot of them have their provisions, their mattresses, and the other things. Then any of them could escape, like we have learned in other areas where they have escaped from where they are supposed to be. And so they cannot really compromise on that, and they care. They are scared of what would happen should that happen.
And have the authorities had these alternatives that the teachers or the staff of St. Augustine's are recommending?
Well, the Metropolitan Assembly is not really happy that their choice of these places are in the public domain. They say that it was something that was supposed to have been kept secret, and then they would have judged with them. But that is where the teachers have a problem, because they said that they did not consult them. They should have consulted them, because they are also a major stakeholder should they plan to bring the people here. So when I spoke with the assembly, that was what they said, that it wasn't their choice, that thing, the choice of a place should be in the public domain. That's so people could tag, for instance, St. Augustine's College as a school that people have been brought there to be isolated.
Very, very insightful one there, as you say it. But Richard, before I let you go, I want to find out, this is the first case that the Central Region has recorded. And of course, Central Region is not a part of those areas in lockdown. How do the people react to this?
Well, so yesterday, a lot of people panicked. First of all, they were blaming the person that tested positive to the COVID-19, that when he came to the 15th of March, even though it did not fall within the mandatory quarantine period, the man should have done self-quarantine, so that it could have saved everybody of what they are going through. And secondly, because people now know where the man lives, now there is a tendency for people to move from that area to put up with friends and families elsewhere in other suburbs in Cape Coast. And so that's what people are talking about a possible lockdown. They are calling that they should lock down the entire Cape Coast so that they could test other people that might have come into contact with the man, and then people could be free. It was their prayer that Cape Coast or the Central Region shouldn't record any case like that, but their prayers, I feel, have not been answered.
Right. And this man, this person who was tested positive, do we know his whereabouts as of now?
Well, the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital is one of the centers that has been chosen by the Ghana Health Service. So even though I'm not really certain, but the thinking is that the man has been picked. We're told that it was one of the daughters that called a friend, a doctor friend, that the man had shown some signs of the COVID because he's been coughing for a very long time, and they have not called any health authorities to come to their aid. And so she decided that, well, let me call this doctor, and then they sent and then got his samples, and then he tested positive. But he's been in the country for close to 3 weeks, so it left people thinking that, hey, could the virus stay with someone for that long period? Because they are talking about 14 days, and the man came, and then he showed all these signs, but yet the people did not tell anybody about this one. So these are the thoughts of residents here.
We'll certainly, I'm sure, get some more from you, Richard, on this. Thank you very much for that update. Richard Kojonako joining us from the Central Region, which has recorded its first case. It's actually the latest region to join in regions in Ghana, making it 7 in all. 7 regions so far have recorded cases. Now, the Central Region, he's telling us the place that's set or meant to be an isolation center, St. Augustine's, the staff there are not very happy about it. Authorities there also not very happy about the fact that the name or the place has been out there as a place designated to be an isolation center. Certainly very difficult times. We'll get through this as we go along. I'm bringing you back to the Greater Accra region. Now, President Akufo-Addo sometime in March directed that all persons who arrived in the country from the 3rd of March before the closure of Ghana's borders at midnight of the 22nd should be traced and tested for coronavirus in a bid to contain the possible community spread of the virus. Now, since then, the Ghana Immigration Service has been busy processing data of persons who arrived in the country during that period. Processing that data is meant to help contact tracers to get in touch with travelers. Maxwell Agbagba has had an exclusive access to how the process is going and has come through with this report.
In normal times, you'd find people milling around the luggage carousel and the conveyor belt here. But that is not the case today, as this airport is empty with no activity. This is a reflection of what is happening in many parts of the world. Well, we've been speaking to the man in charge of the information system here at the Kotoka International Airport. He's been telling us about how they are generating data to help the contact tracing team. Essentially, they are retrieving the data of persons who entered the country before these airport doors were shut. This would enable the contact tracing team to do an effective job. I've been speaking to the man in charge, Fred Mfojo.
Now, with our processes, the normal processing that we do here, we scan the contact address and then the telephone number, which is provided by the traveler. Now, this is stored in the system as an image. Yes, so when you go into the system, you are supposed to look at the name of the traveler and then click on that same name. That will take you into the storage or the database itself. And then you search through for the card that the traveler completed when he arrived on the day in question. Yes, and from there you are able to extract the address that was stated on the card and then the telephone number that was given as well. Okay. Extracted based on the flights that came. Yeah, we compile for the entire flight for that day and then we send it to the headquarters for onward development of the list. Yes.
But so far, what has the process been like?
Well, it has been, I would say, smooth, with some little challenges. Yes, and because the information is handwritten by the travelers, yes, sometimes it's difficult to read. Yes, but officers or the supervisors are around to help in those regards.
I'm here at the headquarters of the Ghana Immigration Service. The contact tracers, they are working from one of the rooms here, and these are contact tracing developers. What they do here in this room is to work on the data of persons who came into the country from March 3 to March 23. That was the period before Ghana's borders were shut. So what they are doing is to work on the data of about over 30,000 people, and they're making the data user-friendly here in this room. I've been speaking to the Chief Superintendent, Lydia Achel, who's the leader of the team here. And she tells me that so far they've worked on about 28,000 persons. And this is what we have here. This is just part of what they've worked on, so far.
What my team does is to sanitize or clean the data, take all errors out of it, and also segregate them into the regionals, and then finally we take that of Greater Accra only, hand it over to the deployment team, who will then further disseminate it when they deploy their officers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically this, we're talking about data from which period? From the
3rd of March.
3rd March to 23rd? Or?
Yes, to 23rd of March.
Okay, so
yes.
From which period to which period again, sorry?
From the 3rd of March to 23rd of March.
Okay, and these are details of persons who came through the Kotoka International
Airport.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are details of people that came through Kotoka International Airport.
Okay.
And we are looking at about 400 plus flights that came within that period, and then about 34,000 plus passengers. Yes, and then so far we've been able to clean and disseminate about 28,500, and work is ongoing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you say that out of the 34,000, you've been able to work on
28,500.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so this data we are talking about has been supplied to the contact tracing team on the ground?
Yes, we've supplied it to the deployment team.
Okay.
That will further disseminate it to the contact tracers because they deploy them. What we also did was also to send that of the other 15 regions by email, via email to our regional commanders at their various regions. And they will also continue with the dissemination to their teams that will go on contact tracing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it possible to give us the regional breakdown of the 34,000 that we're talking about?
Yeah. We have, for now, we have about Greater Accra taking the biggest chunk. In fact, almost 85%, about 18,415 now for Greater Accra only. And the Ashanti region follows to 2,662.
This is the COVID-19 operations room here at the Ghana Immigration Service. This is where all the coordination, takes place. You remember the Ghana Immigration Service put out a notice out there that if you have any family member, any friend, or any tenant who came in within the period that was announced, you should call. Well, if you call, this is where your call would normally come to, and persons here will respond, to it. I've been speaking to the coordinator of this operations room, and he's been telling me about what they've been doing here at this place.
We monitor the border patrol activities. You know that the borders are locked down, and what we have to do is to patrol 24/7 across the borders. Now, we have contact tracing team. This team helps the health officials to contact trace persons who have traveled in the country over the period in question. Now, basically, these people, the officers help the health team. And what we do here is that we monitor them. Each team has got their own sets. So once a while, we call to check their locations, and as and when there's any occurrence, we basically respond to them.
I've also been speaking to the Greater Accra Regional Commander of the Ghana Immigration Service, who is also in charge of the contact tracing operations here at the Immigration Headquarters, Samuel Amadou Basantele. He says that so far, so good with the contact tracing, but there's still more work to be done.
Oh, well, so far, so good. And there's still a lot of work to do. Because Accra is a big region, and we have over 30-something thousand passengers to trace within who entered the country between the 3rd of March until the lockdown. So that is a huge responsibility, but we are doing our best. Okay. But we don't go to the field alone. We accompany them, get the contacts for them to do their sampling or whatever they are supposed to do.
Okay. So are you able to effectively, what mechanisms have you adopted, to effectively trace the contacts?
Yes, our systems, our embarkation and disembarkation cards have a provision for your contact, residential address and phone numbers. So that is what we extract from the raw data that comes from the airport. Okay. So for instance, if you fall within, we'll take your name from the card, the address you provided, and your telephone number. So you see that we generated it in the form of a spreadsheet that has all your details. And based on that, we sorted them out into regions, and then we sent them to the other regions. The Accra one is what we have now, we are using here. So effectively, once you travel through the airport, we would have your data. Yes, unless of course you as a passenger gave us a wrong number or a wrong address. Okay. Yeah. But I think some of the challenges are that people have two addresses. He is from Koforidua, he lives in Accra. He gets to the airport, so he gives the Koforidua address because that is his permanent home address. Because there have been situations like that when you call, so yeah, that's my address, but I'm in Koforidua.
This is what a typical contact tracing process looks like. Here in this community at Ashoman, we're told that there was a positive COVID-19 case some days ago. Health personnel and the Ghana immigration officers here are helping, taking samples for them to be tested at the Noguchi Memorial Institute. Another aspect of the contact tracing process involves contacting travelers who came into the country between the period of March 2 and then March 23. We're told that samples of these travelers are taken and also tested.
Currently, we are working hand in hand with the Ghana Health Service, tracing contacts of people suspected who have come in touch with a confirmed case in the area. So we are working hand in hand with the Ghana Health Service. We've given that information already out. So we are working with that information that we generated, and we are working hand in hand with the Ghana Health Service. Okay, so we're also following up on people that arrived in the country between March 3rd to the midnight of 23rd.
Okay. So for them, what are you doing with them?
We are making contacts, tracing them to their homes to have their samples being taken.
Okay. Okay. And so far, have you tested some of them?
A lot. We've done a lot. We've contacted almost half of what we have.
Okay. And how responsive are they when you call them and you tell them they arrived in the country around this time and you're supposed to test them?
Some respond, some too. We have to really explain to them the need for them to get tested before they respond positively. We also provide security in the sense that some areas, they don't try to welcome us, they don't try to understand the situation. So in a case where we think that it may be rowdy, then we quickly call in the rapid response team.
Well, away from the immigration service, we're taking you to the markets and what's happening with the CMB market where there is a press conference. Let's go over there right now.
Because a land she 100 na kagbe da waya news na akashi bia na nuchumo ebe hingbe no nika he labaje bia ba agba ofe wona nyete me pini je tro na ebe nya hi efa no esa no wa mani na kasani ba badani o abo ni nesa no wo fe mo no se wakanya gbasani ahun shi bia chake meji gbete wo ba ni se na akashi bia na echicho wo ba bia okanya ba wie echake mene le bi na emi e wo kra fe buni kun etumo no ye no me wo wonu shishi akenye nye je nye kwa ninye jaje nye bi eba tedi bi kenye shitamo mi no ba afita nye ni be mi ni oba fe ne kelu chumo ne no ba to nye na akashi me ni ba ju fo me ni ba sho me ni ba so wa ke ho de bien market ni Abuja market na oba ngada ka jaman kene ka ba market anga ko no pa tashi no to be wa hanye me ni ba ju fo ka shi ho ka wo fe na ka lu chumeta no wanda ka shi wo fe wo ye the same page no na ka shi no ma ba ka gbe no wo bele market anya ne ra don ka je fe to ebo
they should be warned if they fail to come, police will take them on.
Binini yo ja ka shi mo no ba fe to ebo mo no ba ko ba bia ka jaman kene ba kene 12 o'clock aba amobo ni banyele nyomo woni yo eji 12,000 Ghana cedi ni ji 120 million allow 4 years in prison no kanyele na kampe nya ofe okumi no to gbeje no to ko ni nyenu chumo aya no keke mo fia mo mi eshe keke Ghana hu na ke helane na cho ne e ba gba anye na nye fe nye ewo no wo yo bie nye radon na ma do ne fe English okay before the lockdown started we had the opportunity to meet the market leadership here. We explained to them the presidential directives and we agreed that they should come and do this by themselves, get people to come on rotational days, and also when they sit down there should be enough spacing to allow for us to comply with the social distancing directive that came from the presidency. We have continuously engaged the leadership, but that has not worked. In fact, 3 days ago, we made the news in the sense that the reporters that came here, etc., realized that the social distancing was not being complied with. We came here on that day, we engaged our leadership here, the market leadership here, and it still did not change. In fact, as of this morning, it was even worse than it was before. So this afternoon, we have engaged the leadership again. We've been here, and then we have decided to close this market until further notice. Over that period, what will happen is we will engage the leadership again, but this time round, we are going to do the groupings as who comes to work here on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday. And also when they come here, because there will not be many, we will be able to have the social distancing compliance that we want. So thank you very much. From midnight tonight, we don't expect any of you to come here to work until the market is reopened. And we are grateful to you for coming to listen to us. God bless. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, just 2 days to the end of the 2 weeks lockdown. Why now? Why now?
In fact, it's good you're asking that question. We have tried to... Please, 1 minute.
To you, these are live visuals coming to you from CMB. Ni Ajay Teria is the MC for the Clote constituency. We're trying to, my colleague Mamiesi is trying to engage him there. Let's go over and listen to what his answers are.
1 day ago, yeah. The Sunday before the Monday, we invited the leadership, we had discussions with them, and we came to some arrangements, compromises as to how we can work together to make sure we achieve the presidential directive. And for the market, cleaning of hands and also social distancing. And also we realize because this place is normally congested, they need to have a rotational rota so that some of them will come on Mondays, Tuesday, Wednesday, etc. And that they will not all come on the same day. We've given them the opportunity to do this by the market leadership, but it is not working. It is not working. So I think about 3 days ago, we were on the news again that we are not complying. And as the municipal in charge of this market, we need to do more to make sure the presidential directive is achieved. So we have engaged them. And the situation did not change even this morning.
Right.
So we realize it's now time for us to take the bull by the horn and do it by ourselves. So we are closing the market to enable us to have the rota in place so that not that many of them will also come to the market, let's say for example, tomorrow and the day after.
So with this directive, how are you going to implement it? Are there going to be security men around to ensure that nobody comes to the market? If people come to the market or flout the rules, what happens?
Yes, there's going to be security presence. So we are going to stop them. They can't gain entrance. But you see, this market is slightly different from some other markets. Here we have lorry station, though they are not operating, but we have people living here as well. But we are not here to victimize anybody. We are here to help Ghana achieve compliance here in terms of social distancing.
Right. I heard this. Is there going to be, what will be the penalty? I heard you from what you were saying earlier on that there's going to be some form of imprisonment or they're going to pay some amount of money. Can you explain?
Oh, that is what came out of the presidential directive. That is 112,000 Ghana cedis, and then I think a minimum of about 4 years. So that is what we are going by.
Right. Okay. So this takes effect immediately after midnight.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you
MC.
very much too.
Yeah.
God bless you.
You are live on Joy News.
Thank you.
Mamiesi Nyameche Thompson there in that interaction with Ni Ajay Teria, the MC for Clote Cole, I should say there, who has been to the market, announcing to the market women there that the market will be closed down from tonight, starting midnight today. If you are found anywhere close to that market, you will be arrested, fined 12,000 cedis, or have yourself 4 years in jail. We go back to the story that head of our health desk, Fred Smith, filed from Agbogloshi market.
As you can see behind me here at the Agbogloshi market, there's lots of traffic, both human and vehicular. And you can take a look here at the number of people who are in there doing their shopping. On the road itself, the police and military teams deployed here are finding it very difficult to control the crowd. Lots of people coming in, and I've seen so far lots of vehicles already turned away. They're having the checks, but it's such a difficult thing for them. This person is now being turned away because he doesn't qualify to come to the market, but they are trying to make their way. The security team here have turned them away. There's another vehicle coming on, they're also being turned away. That's the nature of the situation here at the Agbogloshi market. Very difficult for security men deployed to this area, controlling the crowd. There are some of them who give genuine reasons, so they are allowed. So as it stands, the military and police teams here are not even asking any questions. They're just turning away people attempting to enter the market. So this man has been let in because he's a staff of the Ghana Health Service. He has something valid to do in the market, so he's been asked to go in. But majority of these vehicles are being prevented from coming into this market. But this is supposed to be a community under lockdown. No sign of that here. So the police has taken the decision to block this road. No vehicles are coming either way. So passengers coming in are screened. Only healthcare professionals are allowed in, and the media.
So if it's not far, then wait.
Me passion, ye be baba ye juma na anya ska kwodi.
Ade na unne biane o.
Passion de bi o, ejuma na ebe nye ska kwodi eja.
Say government say omamo aduane di. Unye aduane di.
Ampa dia, say ya omunua na take away nu. Ona ya omu be ma ye nua ye di enwumre nso a.
Omu na o wi ape.
Enu pe. Omu me wiade. And by this time you know better omu baba che omu che wia enumere de aka na de miniska me beto edwana nti na ye be ba ye be edwuma na ye nyeska kakra na ye kwa akodwale ye betua no kwoni ana watua wo be sa to edwana na dia wo be sa atua enu nti na ye sa ba adwom no.
Okay. Also thank you.
No fu kwande ye pesa mumbie na ye kono. No for quino. Mu be no for quino e kwa duani bebre wa na wade ame enu kwa na me pe o. Enu pe
sa duani ade bae na anya ni pa bebre na anya sa duani. Amu ene banku da kunu. Da gore ni to za fe nu kwa anya ni pa bebre na anya sa duani. Then be a penty, and any pipe brain, and yes, I did, and there be any dinner. Mimi, Nimeton, I know, Baran to chair, Mimi, there, how many say? I'm with the Jan in the bay, and you be. I'm with the bay, see, Kayo for Bakayo for our group. Group when I be, you been and you been. And I say, yeah, baby, I want you to change and real. Then you said, ever boy, and say, Omun teacher, the end ran. Young say, you're quite and you did.
Obviously, no observance or social distancing right there in the market. I'll take you to the Mala market now, which has the same story. Now, authorities there are also threatening to shut down that market. Kwesi Parker Wilson has the story.
So we are here at the Mala market to observe whether or not market women are observing the social distancing protocol. Our checks reveal that most of the market women are flagrantly disregarding the protocols as being announced by the president. Now, the Ablekuma North Municipal Assembly decided to set up a task force to ensure strict compliance of the protocols. Since the beginning of the lockdown, the task force say they have been coming to the market every day around 4 a.m. to ensure that these market women adhere to the protocols. But soon after they leave the market will go back to business as usual. In fact, some of them have sheds inside the market, but what they claim is that most of them have come out to ensure that they get the customers who are coming in. So they are crowded right in front of the market, or probably at the entrance of the market, which is quite a worrisome situation for the assembly. The MC for the area, Mr. Kofi Ofori, says that should the situation persist, he is considering shutting down the market indefinitely.
But we don't leave entirely, we leave some people behind. I'm leaving to the office, but my men are still here. The assembly member and some other few assembly, they will be here. For that's why I'm going around with the market queen. And she's also observing what is happening. If they can't comply with the thing, we will close it.
Would it be prudent for you to detail your men stationed to ensure that everything is fine? Because it looks like your men are not enough to ensure that they cover the full length of the market.
Well, I think we are enough. The police just left, as I said. They said there's a problem, so what they did. We are here with the police too. So we will manage to get things done.
But we are tempted to get some reaction from the market women. But most of them were asking us not to even carry the story because they feared that when we carry out the story, there's a possibility of the assembly closing down the market because Dome and Kaswa have been closed down, and they don't want that situation to happen here at Mala Market. So we're unable to get a reaction from the market women. But of course, the tax force is still around patrolling to ensure that at least the needed education is being given to the market women to ensure that at least they comply with the social distancing protocols to avoid the spread of COVID-19. For JoyNews, I am Kusipako Wilson, reporting from Marlin Market.
Obviously a very crowded market as well. Let's leave the Greater Accra region. We'll go to Greater Kumasi. Security personnel were deployed to disperse thousands of traders who had besieged the Kumasi Central Market as the facility reopens following Tuesday's closure. Authorities shut the market in reaction to persistent failure of traders to observe social distancing as part of measures to prevent the spread of COVID-19. A new shift arrangement, which comes with special identity cards, has been introduced to allow the traders do business on alternate days. About 2,000 traders there who received their cards yesterday reported for business today, only for other colleagues to mass up in a bid to have theirs. My colleague Nana Sensumensa has been interacting with traders and city authorities at the Kumasi Central Market. Here is his report.
She's okay because of the virus. She has to come in terms with what the city authorities are recommending for them. So she's okay. So my Lydia represents a number of traders here at the Central Market, specifically at the Dr. Mensah section of the Central Market. That is what they have been going through now. So this is a representation of, let's say, almost all the traders here. All the traders are okay. They believe that the social distancing will help them to ensure that the market is not closed. So as you can see on the screens, the traders are somewhat observing the social distancing protocol, but I can't see any of the traders in PPE, that is a personal protective equipment. None of them are wearing gloves or, let's say, face mask to protect themselves. But if you know this market used to be a very busy market. So the numbers were overwhelmed, but for now, even they say that they've been able to control the crowd. That is what you can see now. But if you ask of any personal protective equipment, no. As you can see in the screens, this is the section of the cassava traders. None of them is wearing a glove, no. Okay, very well. So let me talk to them and ask them why they're not wearing gloves. My patron frozen. I feel so. I didn't say auto, but I didn't. I won't share gloves and I said nose mask. I can't tell you. I say didn't. I won't share gloves and I saw for the young show. Now I'm from Tom Manch. I see a bar. Also, don't say baby someone. I said I share gloves and protective mask. If I tell a woman, me, but I'm left me, Jenny. So this is a fiesta. She says she has one in the house, but when she was coming to the market today, she forgot to bring along with the PP. Let me also speak to another trader here. If I tell you, if I address the car, you say we did that. One mask, one gloves. Then say who's through. If I tell I go for one more, I go for the any capre. Is it a tell you any other? Any capre to one more. What do you mean if I say? If you want this card, but gloves and I say that one. So we have one home to uncle him there. In the money address the car. If you got it.
Nana Sensumensa with that report. Let's head to the Volta region where my colleague Ivy Setoji reports that market women are going about their normal duties, with many of them complaining about the difficulty of practicing social distancing there.
In the Afro-Border market, we want to find out about the social distancing among the market women and traders here. We have a website for the chapter. We'd like to ask social distancing. So she said with the social distancing that people are not supposed to each other like they used to do. So everything is normal.
Sincere apologies for that sound there. Ivy Setoji felt that report, but essentially the story is that the market women there are saying that it's difficult to practice social distancing in a place like that. Let's head to the Bono region now. And the medical director of the regional hospital, Dr. Emmanuel Kofi Amponsa, says although the region has not recorded any coronavirus case, their preparation to handle future cases is unique. Dr. Amponsa also notes that enough PPEs for frontline staff will serve as a morale booster in the battle against the COVID-19 pandemic. Precious Semevo also reports there is blatant disregard for social distancing at the Nana Busuma market in Sunyani.
The former president, John Mahama, as part of his contribution to the fight against the spread of the coronavirus, has been donating various items to health facilities in Ghana. At the Bono Regional Hospital in Sunyani, the former president presented items including 1,105 pieces of hand sanitizers, 20 Veronica buckets, 40 sets of PPEs, 40 gumboots, 5 bundles of paper tissue, and 100 cartons of bottled water. Kwejo Nyameche Mafo, Bono Regional Chairman of the NDC, on behalf of the former president, said the presentation is to show appreciation.
He has already distributed some of these items to some of the regional hospitals, and today we are here on his behalf to also present to you in appreciation of the good job that you are doing for this country. We also acknowledge and we are that proud of you. With all this, what you are doing, sometimes we feel that you are not protected. And that has come to the notice of the former president. For that matter, he has asked us to present to you these items here to support you in the work that you are doing in our effort at combating this dreaded disease.
While expressing his appreciation to the former president, John Mahama, the medical director of the Bono Regional Hospital, Dr. Emmanuel Kofi Amponsa, commended the uniqueness of their COVID-19 readiness. He, however, called for more PPEs for the staff to also boost their morale.
This is the largest number of PPEs that we have gotten, because the PPEs that we had wasn't enough. But now, with this quantity of PPEs, is going to help boost our morale, so that if we are going to the front, we know that at least we have something to protect ourselves. All the items that we were getting was what was used to work on the patients, but now with this, the frontline workers will get a lot of things to protect themselves. So we are saying a big thank you to the former president, John Dramani Mahama. The handling of COVID-19 cases in Bono region, even though we have not gotten some, but our preparedness should warrant that other people come here to come and monitor and also observe how we are doing things here. Because here the way we are doing things is unique.
Meanwhile, social distancing as a means of preventing the spread of COVID-19 is not working at the Nana Busuma market in Sunyani. The traders pray God will spare them as they flout the directives.
The next week, my mother to say, you better transfer phone, maybe Abba, maybe a chance, said the Baya, and a bomb many Panama.
For Joy News, Precious Semevo, Sunyani.
We're moving on from Bono to the Upper East region, where despite the Upper East region's record of its first 19 cases on last Friday, residents in the region's capital, Bolgatanga, generally appear not to be taking any precautions to protect themselves against the disease. A visit by JoyNews' correspondent to the Bolgatanga Central Market on Sunday revealed that many residents who visited the market did not wear any protective gear, although those of them who spoke to JoyNews said they were fully aware about coronavirus and that it has been recorded in that region. JoyNews' Upper East correspondent Albert Sori has more from the Bolgatanga Central Market.
It is exactly 2 days after the first COVID-19 case was recorded here in Bolgatanga. And it is a Sunday. Today is a market day, and you would see that a lot of people are trooping in and out of the Bolgatanga Central Market. This road is the one that leads into the market. Today, we are here to speak to people who are coming to the market to try and find out from them how they are taking the news of a coronavirus case being recorded in this region. and to find out from them whether they are taking any protective measures to keep themselves safe.
Hey, Master, the atmosphere is not easy. We are panicking, seriously, because right now we don't know what we are facing towards in Bulgaria here. Because there is a lot of people that doesn't understand the meaning of COVID-19.
Oh, we are panicked. In fact, we are afraid. When me even coming out, I didn't want to come out in the first place. I didn't want to come. I said now that we have recorded, then we are all at risk. So I'm still, as I'm here, I'm still panicking.
We need to improve upon certain things. I went to the market this morning. I realized that most people are still sitting without nose masks, which it is one of the measures to prevent this disease. But what I can say is that at least leaders and then other civil societies need to take measures to go inside the market and still give more education to most of our market women. So we see that a lot of people are still not taking this too seriously. Many people are coming into the market without nose masks.
We have the tricycle operators, or the can-do drivers as we popularly call them here in Bolgatanga, loading passengers the normal way. There is no social distancing whatsoever in the manner in which they load their passengers. And then inside the market itself, you still have normal overcrowding. You are not seeing anything different, and people are just going about their normal business without any protection at all.
Yes, actually I'm a can-do driver, but we are still hammering on the point. We didn't take it serious. We didn't care. To be sincere, I will not lie to you because I'm a can-do driver. We didn't take it serious. We still need some education.
They normally pick 5 people, but this I'm coming from home with them. We all live in the same house, so we decided to pick one and then we all go together. We don't want anybody to join us. That is why we are here like this. So we are all safe. We are all safe. I think we are safe now.
Me per se, I have a hand sanitizer in my motorbike, but I don't have a face mask and I don't have the hand gloves, which I can also prevent myself, and I need to also feed my family. So I have to put on that risk to come in to get the food stuff for the home. But I plead with the government, if they could make available those precaution measurements that will also help us.
The excuse is that the nose masks are quite expensive. In fact, I had to buy what I'm wearing for 6 Ghana cedis.
I have come out to buy something in the market. Yesterday I have covered myself like that. But the solution is that, look, one man is telling me that one doctor, that if we cover today, daybreak, we'll have to change it again. You know, no money. Are you getting me? Where is the money? And then you'll be changing, every day changing. And then head of state didn't provide anything to help us.
That is the excuse that many people are giving for not using nose masks and taking the risk of walking into the market and doing their normal business without any protection at all. From the Bolgatanga Central Market, my name is Albert Sori, reporting for Joy News.
And still on coronavirus here on the Pulse with Megiti and Opia, the Food and Drugs Authority has once again cautioned about the influx of fake brands of hand sanitizers onto the Ghanaian market, saying it will soon be flushing them out. It says although it has approved 250 brands, there are many others that have not been certified. Principal Regulatory Officer for the Ashanti region, Nora Naki Telabi, tells Joy News the development undermines the country's efforts to contain COVID-19, as consumers of such unapproved sanitizers will not get the protection they are seeking against the virus. Ohim Interior of our Health Desk reports.
FDA says whilst there's a craze for local production of hand sanitizers in the Ashanti region, the lives of patrons are exposed to danger by what some of them are churning out.
We have registered 254 hand sanitizers, of which 20 are from Ashanti region here. So then it's unfortunate that suddenly we are seeing the creeping trend whereby people are sitting somewhere and formulating things and labeling them as hand sanitizers, and that is unacceptable. What we notice is that it looked like identifiable groups people want to teach, and that is fine. Maybe they are a society and we feel like, oh, teach us how to do this. That is fine. You can teach them, but you have to teach them rightly. And in as much as you have taught them, they don't have a right to put the product on the market or even give it as a gift. Even if you are giving it as a gift, it is also controlled by the law. So you have to first bring the product to the Food and Drugs Authority for the authority to evaluate the product.
Mrs. Nakite Labi, Principal Regulatory Officer at FDA, explains.
If the product doesn't have the requisite percentage of alcohol or ethanol, which is the 70% and above, it might not be able to kill the microorganisms or the COVID virus that we are targeting. And so you may be rubbing this thing on your hands. It will give you the false confidence as, oh, I use hand sanitizer, so I'm sure I'm safe. And yet you are actually exposing yourself to so much harm. And by exposing yourself, you are exposing the rest of us to the same harm because we are in the same community.
Incensed by the situation, FDA, with the support of the security agencies, will go after producers and distributors of fake hand sanitizers.
So what we want the general public to know is that nobody can make any hand sanitizers, and those that are making them, the ones we are following up on them, and then we'll let the law take its course, because this is not the time or place where we look unlikely for any of these activities.
From Kumasi, for Joy News, Ohiminteria reporting.
Still in this area, the Asokore Mampong Municipal Assembly is training over 100 women to produce hand sanitizers for distribution to the vulnerable and other residents. Officials say slum dwellers especially are unable to afford the commodity on the fight against COVID-19. Municipal Chief Executive Ali Seidu tells JoyNews he will be supporting them to begin mass production and also to train many more. Ohiminteria again.
Asokore Mampong is one of the densely populated areas of the locked down Greater Kumasi, with over 500,000 population. Majority of residents, including head porters, live below the poverty line on less than $1 a day amid sanitation challenges. The women under training are selected from all the electoral areas of the municipality. Alhaji Ali Seidu is the municipal chief executive.
This municipality is highly populated municipality. It's an urban municipality, but then we have people living in slum areas and all that cannot afford sanitizers and all of these things. So the assembly and myself thought it wise that we should come up with something of this nature. Train the trainees, where they will also go down there and train those who will produce more of the hand sanitizers. The intention is that we want to make sure that we get them trained, produce more for the benefit of our people. That is the essence.
There are, however, concerns about how quality will be ensured, especially when majority of the trainees are illiterate. Alhaji Seidu says there's no cause for alarm.
We rely on a professional. The resource person that is leading the training is just not a mere person from anywhere. She's been in this system, with this business for quite a long time. She's been producing more. She's been training how to put them together and even selling most of the items. So it's like having the final the producer to come and teach. It's like everything will be absolute. On the basis of that, quality assurance will be upheld.
From Asokore Mampong for Joy News, Ohiminteria reporting.
And we still stay in the Ashanti region. Glimpses of hope showed up on the faces of headquarters at Abuabo Dagoma line in Kumasi as the Ghana COVID-19 private sector fund managers fed them. Many of the young women and girls who live on their daily engagement have been forced out of business as a result of the 2-week lockdown. But thanks to Ghana COVID-19 private sector fund, they have something to smile about. Ohiminteria has more in this report.
The head porters are unable to fend for themselves without their daily menial jobs. They are confined to the slums to endure difficult times, many of them without food. The gesture to feed them on Wednesday afternoon came as a relief. It is under the Feed a Kayayo project being implemented by the fund. Officials of the Ghana COVID-19 Private Sector Fund say about 7,000 head porters will have at least a meal a day until the lockdown is over. Francis Adumakun speaks for the group.
They are a well-organized group. You can see, if you see them from here, they are a well-organized group and they are over 1,000. You understand? So you could see that if nobody is coming here today, it means that the people here will not find anything to eat. So getting them a meal today alone is enough for them. The target is to feed all of them. The target is not to feed some, but majority, if not a majority of them, who will find it very difficult to make ends meet, who will find it difficult to get something to eat, and that's why we are here. We believe that we are just partners, and by so doing, we will be able to make our people who are finding it difficult to get something to eat smile. And I will use this particular medium to call on other well-meaning Ghanaians to follow suit, because there's an adage in Akan which says Oyonkoda and Oda.
Other areas whose inhabitants benefited from the gesture include Bombay, Abuabo, Racecourse and Yalewa slums. From Kumasi for Joy News, Ohime Interior reporting.
And on that Ohime Interior note, we'll take another quick break. We'll be right back. When we return, we'll take a look at the global update on COVID-19. Do stay with us.